now call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is an open meeting of the Seward, Nebraska governing body. The city of Seward abides by the Nebraska business. A copy of the Nebraska open meeting practice is provided by the floor and King's room, which is required. A disclosure of the recording process is also posted here in the meeting room on the tables. A participant sign-in sheet is available for use by any citizen addressing the council. Presenter show, raise your hand if you want to speak, and you'll be acknowledged in about 5 minutes. You have to state your name and your address for the clerk's record, and then all comments will be directed to the mayor, who shall determine by whom any appropriate response shall be made. The city of Seward reserves the right to adjust the order of items on this agenda as necessary and may elect to take action on any of the items listed. Please call the roll.
Back.
Here.
Hendricks. Here. Hanford.
Here.
Singleton.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Holderman. Here. Wilkins.
Here. All right, first item is the draft minutes of October 20th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Back.
Yes.
Hendricks. Yes. Hanford.
Yes.
Singleton.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Holderman. Yes. Wilkins.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next two items make up the consent agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Alyssa?
Thank you. Back.
Yes.
Hanford.
Yes.
Singleton.
Yes.
Hendricks. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Holderman. Yes. Wilkins.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, the first administrative item this evening is a request by St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church for a special designated liquor license for a fundraiser event in the church social hall on November 20th, 2020. Bonnie, did you want to?
They're a nonprofit, so they have to come before the council for an SDL. We didn't see any issues with it.
Any questions from the council or comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Back.
Yes.
Hendricks. Yes. Hanford.
Yes.
Singleton.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Holderman. Yes. Wilkins.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 2, request from cemetery board to allow temporary markers at the Seward cemeteries. Yes, welcome.
Put my mask down so you can hear me. We brought props, so my name is John Brando, Kent Shaleski. Together we manage the 3 cemeteries in Seward, the main cemetery, Greenwood, and Anderson out on Highway 34. Currently there's 144 lovely bent, rusted temporary markers, with 33 of them being in the baby grave section alone. They get knocked over with weather, with people walking through the graveyard. They're a tripping hazard. They also get hit with mowers, with weed whips, and they're just not professional. What we've done, we've showed this to Mr. Butcher. We've also showed it to the cemetery board. Is take basically the head. These are what are provided by the funeral homes, if at the family request. If they request one, just take them off the metal stand. They're just 2 screws, and put them on a simple paving stone, and then set that into the ground. We've got pictures that we've put them in the ground. They're basically indestructible at that point. You can literally drive over them with a mower. They don't go anywhere. And they remain temporary. So this is not a headstone replacement. This is just a way to put the temporary marker in the ground so it looks much more professional, and also that it's much more weather worthy and ground worthy.
This temporary marker is actually from 1902. That's how temporary it is.
Literally.
And that's an actual one that we've replaced.
And the one, our prop, 1947, and we have ones just as old. The most of them are very old. Obviously, if they have a military marker, it's a simple thing to drill a hole in the stone and place it on there. It looks so much better than having everything all crooked in the cemetery. The cost of the stones, with just the stone and the screws and the concrete insets, is a whole $2.48, roughly $2.50. The plaques will come once again from each funeral home, if in fact they provide those for the family. So that will be no cost. We've already got kind of a starter kit from Mr. Volsky with some numbers and stuff and some plates, so we'll have some extras, but right now, we'd like to, if you guys approve, is get the stones and start replacing all the ones that are out there. Start with the baby section, because that's the most, if anybody's been in the cemetery, looks the worst. I mean, it just looks bad. And so, to get those replaced, get those all squared away, we're very good at, I guess, getting things lined up, so I mean, it's all gonna look very professional and get them in the ground. It takes us literally 5 minutes to dig out the ground, set them in there, and then if and when the family decides to put a permanent marker in there, they're really easy literally to pick right out, and they can put their permanent stone in there. So,
We would also plan on just leaving these, anything that's prior to whenever this is approved tonight, whatever. Anything after that, we are thinking they have a year to either put down a foundation. They don't necessarily need a stone. There's a picture in one of those with the foundation with just this sitting on top of it. The problem being is some of the funeral homes think that if we put this in, they're gonna say that, then I want this, everybody wants this. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna give them a year that you have to put a foundation in. We don't mind setting this on top of that foundation. It just makes it easier for us to mow, weed whip, whatever. And if it isn't, then it's taken out of the ground and you don't have one. And we talked to both the funeral homes and they said they were okay with putting that in with some of their stuff, their writing and stuff to help that out also.
to make that clear to the families, that they have up to a year. The 144 that are in there now, they're grandfathered in.
That was my question.
We can't expect to contact a family from 50 years ago. In fact, there's people on the cemetery board themselves that have, unfortunately, family in the baby grave section that they've never given headstone to. They're just a temporary marker. So, and there's no way to contact families at all. So they'll be grandfathered in, which is, we're okay with that. It's just from here on out, so we don't continue to grow these ugly markers around the cemetery.
The cemetery meeting we went to in September, October,
Yeah, cemetery association meeting.
the cemetery, and this is kind of where we got some of the ideas, they don't even allow those temporary markers in their cemeteries whatsoever.
And haven't for over 20 years, so we're kind of,
We're a little bit behind.
we're behind the times right now. We're trying to catch the cemeteries up and make them look better. So that's our proposal. Thank you.
What's the likelihood of, possibility of, do we all of a sudden have an instance where we have a whole bunch of unmarked graves then?
If after, well, like I say, it'll just be from here on out. So if this gets approved, then every year, I mean, we have, I usually mark it on a calendar during the month of January. It may not be to the date, but we'll say, okay, which all the ones are due in January. And then, yes, they would be pulled out and then they'd have no marker there. And the family would be aware of that at the initial burial.
Some of the problem with that is in the cemetery rules, they're supposed to have a 4-foot or an 8-foot foundation, depending on what they have. They're supposed to provide something, and if we leave these out there, they're gonna say, I just wanna do that for a headstone. And basically what we're gonna have, and we're planning on doing this mainly in the new sections.
Right.
The newer sections and there's stones going in those sections all the time.
Okay.
But the older sections, not so much. I mean, there's stones literally everywhere. The other ones are straight lines, they're
Yeah, it's difficult sometimes to find graves out there the way it is.
correct.
We agree. Yeah. And we
And
have to
only
do it every
because,
day.
we've been looking for old, historic, but at any rate, I just didn't want there to be a whole mess of graves out there that nobody knows who's in them. As long as we're keeping track, I guess, who's in them, but if the grave is not in any way marked, it at some point just blends in.
The public won't be able to find them. We would
Right.
be able to find them for you.
Yeah. If anybody asked, we could certainly,
Okay,
we would
I
take
just-
them out there, show them, hey, sorry, we never got one in, we're 5 years past, we can't find it, can you, and we would take them exactly, this is the spot, and we'd mark it out, like when
Okay,
we have
so-
stone setting, Spidell, if whoever comes out, I mean, we mark out so they know exactly where to set the stone, and, but all the old ones, once again, they would stay, and all the baby graves would stay, but they would be this now, which would look much more professional. Any other questions?
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good plan. Thanks for all your work on it.
Great, we appreciate it.
So what will happen going forward is these gentlemen will work with the cemetery board and the official rules. They'll come up with an amendment to those rules, working with the cemetery board. They'll adopt those and recommend them to you for final approval then, right?
Right. We would like to do a year, the cemetery board would like to do a year, but if you want longer, I guess that's up to you, so,
I guess our main goal is to get them in by Memorial Day. I mean, we would like to start
yeah.
right away.
Tomorrow sounds great, it's supposed to be a good weather.
Right?
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome,
Thank you.
thanks, guys.
So there's no action then on number 2?
Nope.
Okay. Item number 3, professional services agreement with Capital City Concepts LLC to conduct a wage and benefit comparability study. Greg?
Yes, as part of our employee handbook, one of the requirements is that every so often, 3 or 5 years, I can't remember exactly, we're due to have an outside source take a look at our comparability and provide us comparability for a number of different comparable first-class cities. And then that information is brought to the council to do with as you wish. And also to use to set wages as we do the budget for next year and things like that. We're at that time again. And so I went out to the city administrators across the state and asked who everyone's been working with. And the 2 responses I got was either we use Capital City Concepts, which is Paul Essman, who did our most recent one in 2017, Bonnie? 16. And then usually the other response we get is the free one through the league, but that one is not an official study. That's just kind of we threw it out, we followed up with whoever responded to it, and then we're done for the year. And they do that every year. That one's free through the league, but again, it's not as detailed, and there's really no follow-up. It's only as good as the person that filled out the form. They got it emailed them to them, and they just kind of filled it in and sent it back each year. And so this is a requirement of the handbook. My intention is to get this information, share it with the committee that's the Finance Personnel Committee after it's all assembled. We'll go through it, we'll get questions answered, we'll reconvene those questions with Paul, and then we'll bring it to the city council, and then you guys can do with it as you wish with the other information. What you're gonna see is a lot of other comparables on things you don't normally see when I work with you, which is you may look at fringe benefit specifics. So you might go, oh, we offer 10 holidays, but most other cities only do 9. I'm just throwing something I don't know off the top of my head. These guys offer personal days, but we don't do personal days. They offer paid time off versus sick leave and vacation. You'll get some of those intricacies for the other comparable cities. What you won't get is a strict CIR, HRV analysis done. That's significantly more expensive, and that is what we wanted. We just wanted to give you the data for each of them, compare them, and find out what the medians are and where you line up on wages. I can still take that information and I can extrapolate from it, and I can do the HRV for you with my own formula, as long as Paul gets the information that I need, which is basically your hourly wages, top and bottom, for each job classification, your retirement, which doesn't fluctuate much from year to year, and then the specific health insurance information that I gather, which when I sit down with Paul to gather up this information, if it's approved tonight, I'll make sure that he gets the one that I use for comparability purposes. So he does survey that specific question so that I can lock it in and then run all the comparability charts that I do. And we don't have to pay, $5,000 to $10,000 extra for somebody to run it for us. So that's my plan. I can answer questions for you. In the future, if you want to rely more on Sheila's because we're not seeing a big trend in changing up, benefits, you sure can do that every year. We can share, we get that in every year. We can share that with you or the committee. But I know there was some headbutting and some disagreement last time when it was done in 2016 before I arrived. So that's what we have. We did budget this at $20,000. This one comes in at $14,000. So we're well under budget in what I'm asking Paul to do for us. Questions?
Not a question, but I'll comment, because I'm the one who doesn't like this process at all. I realize we have to do it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of companies out there that can do this for us. And the product we received from Paul is less than stellar in my opinion. So it is something that definitely our personnel committee needs to take his data and look at it time administratively to do it ourselves. It's just too much time, but unfortunately, we're forced into it. Don't like it.
Any other questions or comments? Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Beck?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Camper?
Yes.
Singleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Schmidt?
No.
Alderman?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item number 4, agreement with Olson for geotechnical services for the wastewater outfall project in the amount of $7,320.
As you know, we approved the, well, I don't know if we approved, did we approve it? We went out for bids and specs, or bids on the wastewater outfall. Again, this is the project to change the outfall from Plum Creek to Big Blue River. It was all designed up by SEH. We need geotechnical work done on that easement area for the outfall. That's a request by City Engineer Mike Oneby. Olson is one of the best ones getting that lined up, and so that was who we recommended for professional services. And they can also get it done very timely. So we were happy to have them do that so we can keep that project moving and get it done this year. I can answer any questions you have.
Any questions or comments from the council? Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Beck?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Camper?
Yes.
Singleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Alderman?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, we have item number 5, ordinance suspending Seward Municipal Codes, Chapter 303, for a period of 6 months, and to issue a stay for the business of selling and delivering goods, wares, or merchandise, or taking orders for goods or merchandise to or at residential premises within the city. Greg, you want to kind of explain how it got here?
Oh yeah, we got here. We got here again. I'm gonna throw Tim under the, no, I'm sorry. Originally I had requested, we were contacted by Charter Spectrum about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. And they wanted to go door to door and start selling cable and internet service. And they were inquiring about, do you have a process, a permit, things that we have to do? We were like, yes, we do. We just want to check into it and I'll get back to you. At that time I contacted AC Peters and we discussed it, and he said, we haven't had anybody request these or come in and get them since March. And the ones that have kind of contacted us are like, yeah, we'll hold off. They're 1-week permits. They have a technical background check that's involved each time that you have to do, run again and again and again to be thorough. And so no one had come in, and so we were like, okay. But we were concerned in the discussions between AC Peters, myself, and then also with the mayor, that if we start having somebody that's really go-getter about going door to door, trying to sell stuff, they're from out of town, coming from Lincoln, Omaha, or other, are we gonna get a flood of phone calls? The people going, there's this guy coming over and he's knocking on my door from Spectrum. I don't even want to answer the door. I'm trying to get rid of him. I'm waving at him through my window. I got my mask on. I'm quarantined and all this stuff. And so we anticipated, we thought we might get some upset citizens that were like, why are you letting people go door to door selling stuff during this current situation? And so we felt that it was best, in talking to the mayor and getting a recommendation from him, to just bring this to you. And our recommendation was, initially, before we drafted it, was we just want to suspend and put a moratorium on issuing the permits for 6 months, try to get through the winter, because we continue to see the numbers trending in a not positive direction for us at the moment. And so that's what we want to bring forth and let the governing body make the decision to kind of ward off us constantly trying to take calls on this and probably get chewed out a lot for something that we're currently permitting. And we allowed a permit. What ultimately happened is we explained this to Charter. We said, here's our concerns. No one's really come in, but if you ask for a permit now, we're going to issue it, because that's what the ordinance says. And so they did come in, they got their permit, did the background check, and they plan to go door to door and start knocking doors. But we filled them in on everything we thought, and we said, we may take this to the council and let them make the decision. And they were like, okay, well, thanks for letting us know. We appreciate that.
But they're already doing yours.
Yep. But their permit will run out in 7 days, and so midweek this week, Thursday, they would have to come in and get another permit and do it again and again and again, no matter what. That's the way our permit system works.
So what happens when Spectrum's competitor comes in to get their permit next week, and
We're doing a moratorium on all permits, so none of them get them.
right, but Spectrum's already not there?
No, it was someone else, wasn't it?
Charter?
It was charter.
Oh, okay, sorry, Charter.
And just so everyone knows, I mean, I'm not sure what it was, about 5 years ago, I know we had an incident where someone was going door to door and they wanted to use the restroom and they let them in use the restroom and then they thought some prescription drugs or something may have been taken or, I'm not saying Spectrum or Charter is such a large corporation, they obviously have a lot of safeguards in place that they would implement to do this, but we have had an incident before where, I remember the police were trying to track down like this person because we're getting complaints, and that's in a non-COVID environment, and so this was just something we wanted to bring to your attention. If you don't feel like this is an issue, then we'll just continue doing what we're doing, but in light of the numbers going up and people, I think, are seeing more people getting sick, it just seemed like a good idea to bring this. And if you, I don't know if you noticed, but there weren't a lot of door-to-door, even political candidates weren't really going door-to-door a whole lot like they have in the past, and just because of for that reason.
What about, like, what do Girl Scouts do? Do they go in and get permits?
No.
They just can do it because it's,
Because they're not doing it for a commercial they're not, that's a fundraiser sort of. It's the way that.
I'm just asking because I don't know.
I don't want to have a specific debate about, because we can go down that rabbit hole of who does it count, but it defines in the permitting process currently that it's really for door-to-door commercial sales. It's not the UPS guy. We sort of, and so forewarning, the first maybe draft of this that came out in the packet got a little aggressive. And so we reeled it back in. We have an amended draft that's available, and all it does is issue a moratorium on issuing permits. It doesn't repeal anything. It doesn't eliminate the penalties. All it says is we're issuing a moratorium on the issuance of permits for 6 months.
So if you haven't been getting a permit in the past, it changes nothing.
Got it.
So this section 5 where it's all about delivering?
Yep, well, that's all gone.
Because
And
I
the
thought,
amend-
how
we'll-
am I gonna get my
I'll read the
Amazon
amended
Prime?
version to you. I can get it from the mayor. It's very succinct. It essentially says, we issue a moratorium. You got there?
I got a copy here, yeah.
I'll steal it. It's an ordinance to suspend issuance of permits under Seward Municipal Code, Chapter 3, 3. The city of Seward has authorization under 72-112 Seward Municipal Code to adopt ordinances that may be necessary to expedite or to promote public health and safety in the general interest and welfare of its citizens. Section 2, the novel coronavirus COVID-19 has impacted and continues to impact the citizens of city of Seward, Nebraska. Section 3, door-to-door solicitations create an undue risk of transmission of novel coronavirus. Section 4, the issuance of permits under Seward Municipal Code Chapter 303 is hereby suspended for a period of 6 months from the effective date of this ordinance. And then Section 5, pamphlet form publication when operative. This ordinance shall be published in pamphlet form and shall be in full force and effective from and after its passage, approval, and publication or posting as required by the law or the city ordinance, which essentially means tomorrow when we post it. That's what we shortened it to. It's strictly on the permits. If you come back and you go, hey, look, we're all cured in January, you can fix it. We can extend it out longer. It's just a simple motion by the city council to change it back up. But this is the version we'd ask you to amend to, and that's what we drafted from Kelly and Tim. To kind of clean that up, so the UPS guy, so Al's not mad at me tomorrow that you guys shut him down. But that's where we're at with it. Again, the other big one I think from the health perspective is the one place we're asking people who test positive and who are quarantining to go is their homes. So the likelihood that the people that are at home that are doing those things that are infected, now they're answering the door, talking to this guy that's standing on their front doorstep. They're freaking out. They're mad. You know, that was our concern this whole time with it. The fact that they're going to a home to do this. So
So,
But-
Greg, do you have any feel for what other
No. I have not. I've seen a few other communities when I did just a quick check, like on Google, just to see, is this a thing somewhere else? There are communities out there, municipalities, I don't know specifically in Nebraska. But again, after me and Tim and Kelly looked at it, we think it's completely within your purview. But I haven't seen a ton. I just know that we have this request. Again, we also don't get a ton of requests from March until this moment, so we hadn't had to deal with it. And we're not getting other ones. This is the only one, and Charter Spectrum really felt like they really needed to go door to door.
How many requests do we get annually for permits? Any idea? 20 or less? Or?
Yeah, I suppose 20 is gonna be ballpark. A lot of those are gonna be magazine sales. We got the van loads of kids coming in, we drop them off and then come pick them up at the end of the day.
So does this cover like the Girl Scouts?
Nope.
I just asked
They don't get permits now.
If they don't get permitted now, then this doesn't affect.
That was my concern. I wasn't even a Girl Scout.
And they don't, and they're not being permitted to do this now, so it wouldn't apply to them. It's for commercial
The
use.
softball teams that are doing fundraisers, things like that.
Popcorn.
Yeah. I think they're all trying to get away from that, some of them. I saw some softball players or somebody wandering around the other day. I think some FFA.
But it's
Group
weighing
was-
down for obvious reasons. It's just, we know of a large corporation that plans on coming in. Do we care? If we don't care, then do nothing and then,
Because they're coming in and they're salespeople.
Yeah.
They're trying to convince you to buy their product.
Right, but I think my issue is if people are concerned about COVID, they're not gonna let them in the first place. So by doing this, you're taking away from people that may not be worried about it, that may be potential customers. Given it's 1 out of 20, it's still something to me, I don't see there's anything actionable in it that's outside the scope of what the person who's owning the house does anyway.
They don't have to answer the door.
Yeah.
Right, and that's my concern, if it's been, like if there's data from other cities that show that it's being spread and there's, you know, a lot of requests coming in and there's citizens calling saying, I don't like this. But if we've had one request since March and like Carl said, you know, we all have the power to exercise the right to not open the door. I'm just, I get a little nervous when we as a city feel like we have to restrict that, when there really, doesn't appear to be a big issue with it.
And again, the reason we brought it forward is not because we felt super strongly one way or the other, but we felt it was something you needed to make a decision on. And when we do get the calls, we'll say we already brought this forward, we already discussed it, and the city council chose to do X. And that will be our response, because we can't sit and have arguments about COVID and whether you should wear a mask or not, or this or that. We have to be able to deal with it, because we have so much other stuff to deal with.
Right.
So, this is the most efficient way to take care of this, one way or the other.
and just so, and not to be fear mongering here, but, I mean, the numbers are going up. I mean, we can wait a month from now and then all of a sudden we get concerns from people at Spectrum or someone else is going around. And then we have a next meeting 2 weeks later, or then a month later, well, then we take action and now it's been 2 months. You know, that's why we're trying to be proactive on this. We can wait and see what other communities do, but, you know, sometimes you'd rather lead than follow, because you don't know what that's gonna look like for sure. Any other questions or comments? It is an ordinance, so I need someone to introduce it if you want to move forward with the vote. If no one wants to introduce it, then I will move on to the next item. I just want to give everyone an opportunity. Seeing no one introducing it, then move on to item number 6. It's ordinance approving text amendment to the city of Seward Unified Land Development Ordinance, ULDO, Article 29, floodplain, floodway, overlay district. This is the second reading. Do we need anything else to discuss on this?
No, just need to do the second reading. P and Z will review this month, and then at your next meeting, they'll have the amendment concerning manufactured homes that we talked about the last meeting.
All right, an ordinance to
Mark 2020-27.
Are these the same then?
One was the original, one was the.
Oh, I got you, that's why there's two, okay. An ordinance to repeal and replace municipal code of the city of Seward, chapter 410, zoning and subdivision, article 29, floodplain, floodway overlay district, to repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, to provide for an effective date, to provide for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form. Anything else on that item, Greg?
Nope.
Okay. Next, we have the city administrator's report.
I think I need to keep you guys here for another half hour, so if you didn't vote, sorry. Just kidding. Let's see, what do I got? I don't think I have too much, besides sixth grade recreational tackle football defeated Norris in the Blue Valley Championship on Sunday.
Fantastic.
Just because I coached the game, but whatever. Other than that, I'm trying to think if I don't have anything else. I'll answer any questions you have about what's in the report. So, it's not, there might be other things going on tonight, if people are interested.
If not, then any motion to accept the report?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Beck?
Yes.
Hendrick?
Yes.
Cantor?
Yes.
Singleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Alderman?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Future requests for council agenda items or administrative action? Seeing none. Announcement of upcoming events. This is spoken from the perspective of Jonathan. So, on Saturday, November 28th, the 10th annual Christmas festival is still on schedule to be held in person, but we'll be following all of the necessary precautions as provided by Four Corners Health Department. A schedule of events was included as an insert in last week's newspaper. Other scheduled events, marketing materials will be printed and available for access at local businesses in the next week or so. This year we changed our lighted parade to a reverse parade with 5 different locations around the community where the various floats will be stationed. There will be a reverse parade map featuring the various locations to enjoy the floats. We're accepting registrations from local businesses and organizations to host their own floats as we do every year. Please contact our office for more information. The SCCDP is partnering with MHCS on the Stay Open, Stay Healthy marketing campaign to encourage businesses, schools, and our communities to remain open by taking the necessary efforts to stay safe throughout the pandemic. We'll be releasing a video soon along with other marketing materials to drive this message home. We need help from local businesses and organizations to pick up and share the marketing materials and video to promote it to the public. Please look for communication coming out in the next week or so about the Stay Open, Stay Healthy marketing campaign. Lastly, as always, don't forget to shop local this holiday season. We encourage you to safely enjoy holiday open houses at your favorite stores while maintaining proper social distancing. Please be courteous to business owners and their employees by abiding by their mask wearing recommendations. Special reminder that Shop Small Seward is scheduled for Saturday, November 21st. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Beck?
Yes.
Hendrick?
Yes.
Cantor?
Yes.
Singleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Alderman? Wilkins?
Yes.